Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Pac-Man here once again, and I'm back for yet again for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Donkey Kong Land 3 for the Game Boy/Game Boy Color for those of you who lived in Japan. So, last time we have basically completed Black Forest Plateau, and that was actually quite a nice world to go through. And today for this video is the fact that we are moving on onto Great Ape Lakes. So, and as far as I'm aware, we're basically pretty much at the halfway point in terms of the entire game already. So because of this though, yeah, let's get this thing to it. So the first level we have in this world, which appears to be Jungle Jibber. So I believe this is where we get able to actually get started, able to actually explore onto the jungle-based world, or the jungle-based levels as far as I'm concerned. Well, mind you, it has been about quite a few hours since I actually did manage to last recorded this, because obviously it's still recorded onto the forms of the weekends, so just in case we can able to actually let you know, Maxi, and especially no sports Tiana to able to actually work upon, you know what I mean, 2 projects throughout. So anyways, let's get to it right here. So of course, as usual, 2 bonus areas in this level, so we can pretty much expect what this is going. So once again, we are collecting stars all of a sudden again. So either way though, yeah, I just get a strong sense of feeling that we might able to actually experience kind of like the same thing as the forms of Mario Party 9 and 10 for mini stars, and as well as the forms of Island Tour for one of those boards, and especially noticeable with that particular star collecting for Star Rush or something like that, which I've no idea why I managed able to bring this up, mind you. That's only mainly because it's been a very long while since we actually last played anything related to Mario Party, aside from the fact that we're about to be able to prepare, you know what I mean, Mario Party Superstars enduring at some point, not too long actually, until when it gets to the point until at some point in the beginning of next month. So, yeah, brace yourselves for this point. So, anyways, we got ourselves another extra life, which at this point in time is the fact that we pretty much already maxed out on extra lives at this point. But then again though, it is very easy to get extra lives in this game, so because of that though, not much else to explain about this for the sake of time. So anyways, let's go and use Dixie Kong's ponytail ability, so that way we can skip this entire harder stuff platforming segment super easily. So either way though, we can pretty much expect what this is going to be going on for the sake of time. So anyways, so we have to watch out for those porcupine enemies, so because obviously I just don't want to get myself screwed over. So anyways though, I get the strong sense of feeling, yeah, there's a coin enemy over there. So in this case, we need to use the steel barrel for this, and I think we should probably take care of that particular buzz stinger right here. So that way we can able to actually have an easier time to able to just do just that. Oh wait a second, that doesn't help. In fact, what we could do, throw it right over there, and then, there we go, that should probably worked, and there we go. That basically does it for Jungle Jibber. So either way though, pretty easy level, especially noticeable if you're using Dixie Kong a whole lot. So, oh boy, we're going on to another falls type of level, and this time we're going on to Footloose Falls. Kind of weird level name as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can tell. So anyways, the main feature on this level right here is the fact that not only do we able to get ourselves Ellie the Elephant of all things, which I think fundamentally speaking, it's been kind of late to able to actually now have ourselves Ellie the Elephant of all things. So because of this though, yeah, here we have Ellie the Elephant makes its debut from the likes of the forms of this game. So because of this though, yeah, not much else to say about this, although before I get into more details about the forms of Ellie the Elephant, today's date is of course the 11th of September today, in this case in 2022 today. I suppose I should probably mention about this right from the start though, is the fact that, well, I'm pretty sure Tiana that she somehow forgot to mention about, and that is the fact that recently 2 of those films from WB, in this case Wonder Brothers mind you, somehow they've managed able to go, both of those movies have been cancelled, which are Batgirl alongside with the forms of the Scoob movie, which is all about like a holiday treat or something like that, although I'm not exactly sure whereabouts that might as well be, because it's been, you know what I mean, a very long time since we actually just somehow managed to able to just well, you know what I mean, since I actually looked upon something related to Scooby-Doo of all things. Basically, both of those movies have been cancelled recently, so I have no idea why they managed able to cancel both of those things all in exactly the same time. So as a result though, despite in bad go, somehow they've managed able to almost finish up the film, and as a result though, for whatever reason, they just somehow managed able to cancel that out of nowhere, which I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. Especially noticeable because, well, like I said before, that it was expecting to be finished by then, but then it turns out they just somehow say that, maybe it might not gonna happen at this point in time, which I honestly have no idea why they decided to do this, so... Anyway, so the main feature of this level right here is the fact that we now start introducing to ourselves these crumbling platforms on those particular waterfall segments. So because of this though, yeah, every time you step onto one of those crumbling platforms, as you can tell, basically you have to jump instant. So because of that though, if you don't jump at all, basically though, use your chance you might as well able to fall off the level. So... And there's also short things worth noting for, like I said before, we've now finally meet up with the forms of that familiar animal body from the likes of Donkey Kong Country 3, now is of course Elliot the Elephant, so better late than never I suppose, we're able to now finally have her in the entire game. So yeah, basically Elliot the Elephant in this game in particular, she kind of plays out kind of differently from the forms of how it does it on compared to the forms of the Super Nintendo counterpart of Donkey Kong Country 3. So basically what this is though, is the fact that originally, in one of those levels in particular, that she does something that's usually it's very unique in that respect, when it comes to the forms of Elliot the Elephant, as far as I'm aware, that normally she can able to actually, god dang it, I hate when that happened right there, especially noticeable because, well, relatively speaking, that it's just, you know, some waterfall levels, it's just kind of frustrating to me, so yeah, that's the only bad thing about the forms of the waterfall levels in this game, along with Donkey Kong Country 3, that again, if you dare fall off, or even especially noticeable if you get screwed up by these specific platforms, basically though, you're going to be able to do this entire climb-a-thon all over again. But luckily we've got the checkpoint right here, so that seems to be the case, because obviously we've already activated, so yeah, kudos to that thing I suppose. So, yeah, the only differences between the forms of the Super Nintendo counterpart of Elliot the Elephant compared to in this game is that I'm pretty sure that she doesn't able to actually have the ability to have the actual limited amount of supplies of water to able to spray onto. Well, mind you, she can still able to actually spray water, but usually for this game, it's actually unlimited. So this means there's no limitations, so you can able to actually just use the actual water spitting technique as much as you want. And also something's worth noting for is the fact that she no longer runs away when she gets sneaked by on those specific enemies. So, specifically mice-like enemies for example. So because of that though, yeah, it's actually kind of interesting change. And also another thing that's worth noting for is the fact that she can no longer able to actually carry a barrel while simply using her trunk, because as far as I'm aware, because of the Game Boy's limitations. So because of that though, yeah, she doesn't have that much any movesets, unlike the forms of how it does it back on the Super Nintendo equivalent. So yeah, that totally seems the case for the sake of time, for the sake of, well, you know what I mean, the actual comparison between other differences worth noting for. So yeah, you probably get the idea about that, so... Okay, something's worth mentioning though, and I think I should probably say this anyway, is the fact that, well, we've already come across into the forms of Squiddo the Spider, the actual familiar animal body, ever since in Donkey Kong Country 2, along with Donkey Kong Land 2. Basically though, he behaves exactly like the forms of how it does it in the forms of the previous games. However though, he kind of does the same thing as the forms of how it does it on Donkey Kong Land 2, where basically in order able to activate the web platforms, you have to be sure you need to press the select button in order to do it. So yeah, that begs the actual questioning for the sake of the forms of how different it was when it comes to likely for certain movesets and stuff like that. So yeah, that mainly seems the case, so... Anyway, so we just need to be very careful not to able to fall off again, because otherwise we'll be seriously going to be screwed at this point. But regardless of such though, I get the horrible feeling I'm actually missing something. So in this case, we need to head over here. And sure enough, there's a steel barrel right over there. And if we try to jump over for those specific platforms right here, there's a coin enemy right over there, and that way we can get ourselves a DK Hero coin. And also the last bonus area on this level, so yeah, pretty simple if you managed able to find both of those things all at once, so that's something worth classifying. So anyways, let's go and get ourselves the next B coin. So at this point, we're now on to 43 of those things, so I don't know how many we can possibly be able to actually reach up onto, but either way though, we'll just see what happens. You're doing at some point, maybe at some point in next weekend or so we can pretty much expect what this is going on. So either way though, yeah, that basically wraps up for this level. Next level we're going to be moving on to is Deep Reef Grief. Sorry for a little bit of a tongue twist in the end, folks, because again, like I mentioned this before, it's been about a couple of hours since I actually last played this game, so because obviously we need to take care of the forms of other stuff worth noting for. And fundamentally speaking, when it comes to the forms of this level right here, I think this is actually the final time we're going to be able to actually swim in a coral reef environment. So, because afterwards though, it'll just be strictly onto, well, specifically other level themes like tree, cliff, and all that stuff. So everything else will be pretty much encountered for. So, oh yeah, something's worth mentioning also for this point today. I recently managed able to actually realize I've managed able to create my specific Word documentary about the forms of the actual recent returning retro tracks from the likes of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, or should I say Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in general for the Switch, because obviously so far we actually got quite a few of those retro tracks at this point. So I could imagine about the fact that until whenever we get onto the forms of Wave 3, maybe at some point by the end of this year in particular, and then basically though we can pretty much expect, although it's impossible to tell, because as far as I'm aware it's because of the forms of how strange Nintendo is acting as far as I'm usually concerned with that stuff, but anyways, let's go ahead and grab even more stars, especially noticeable we're now going to be swimming underwater throughout the whole time. And I get the feeling the B coin is actually right over there. So, 44. 44 of those things. So, yeah, pretty slow, I have to say. Oh, and also another thing is the fact that I did somehow manage able to somehow figure this out where it comes to the forms of one of those retro tracks have been returned for the sake of the forms of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in general, because I somehow managed able to actually get certain tracks usually in colored green, because that actually represents it's been confirmed. But if it doesn't though, on the other hand though, mainly at some point by the end of 2023 if possible, then I can pretty much expect I can able to actually get rid of some of those tracks that have not been confirmed at all. So so I get the strong feeling about the fact the matter is though, is the fact that, well, as far as what I looked upon the forms of some data mines, despite the fact that I still usually don't trust leaks or rumors all that much anymore, just because it's so ridiculously stupid in almost every way, at least in my opinion though, but I digress. So, yeah, because apparently though, they're probably gonna say they won't be able to actually include any more of those N64 tracks, which I'm not exactly sure of how I feel about it though, because again, it's all about leaks and rumors and stuff like that. But as far as I'm aware though, is the fact that it's not usually confirmed yet, but it's all about speculations again. So from what I can tell is the fact that, because usually the only track that does not return at all so far in terms of the N64 selections of tracks, that's what appears to be, of course, Wario Stadium. Well, I'm guessing that the reason why that track has never been returned at all, it's most likely because that particular track is super long, and especially noticeable about the fact that you have to go through the entire track within, well, let's just say like a 2-minute mark or something like that for that matter, at least depending on what class you're going to be able to actually expecting onto. But either way though, everything else will be expected for. So let's just hope about the fact that maybe Merry Melton, you know, with that Christmas themed track, will be expected to appear for the sake of the forms of the entirety of well, you know what I mean, with the actual, like, one of those tracks in particular, based off from Tour and stuff, but either way, though, we'll just see what happens and during that some form or another, but Either way though. Oh, and another thing I would like to mention in regards to the forms of the actual update, for the sake of the forms of oh, dang it, I just died. Oh well, but at the very least we've got the checkpoint right here, so at the very least we're not lost for the sake of time just yet though, so anyway. Oh, yeah, let's talk about the forms of that particular update in regards to the forms of the returning continuation of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Let's Play. In regards to the forms of DLC playthroughs and stuff like that, based off from Booster Course Pass, unfortunately though, that particular continuation of that Let's Play is going to be delayed, maybe at some point until 2024, because it's especially noticeable that the reason why I have to do this is because, well, something related... Excuse me, I'm really sorry about this point, folks, because I keep on eating more pack dots and stuff like that, and eating more ghosts in the process, so I do apologize for that particular awkward belchiness at the moment, just because, well, again, I'm just a little bit too stuffed. So, anyway, as far as I'm aware, because the reason why I have to able to actually put up with the forms of the, well, the returning back onto the actual Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Let's Play, enjoyed at some point until 2024 for its DLC tracks and stuff like that, for, you know what I mean, Booster Course Pass. It's most likely because we're about to try to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the release of Mario Kart 8 during at some point until in 2024, because obviously the original Wii U version of the game is almost going to be likely about 10 years old, and doing at some point in that year, in 2024, but not now anyway though, because as far as I'm aware, we're still on September in 2022, so either way though, there we go, we got 45 of those B coins so far, so we can pretty much expect how this is going. Oh, and also I do apologize with the forms of yesterday's video, it's gone a bit all over the place, just because, well, as far as I'm aware, I'm actually having a pretty stupid luck with all that, you know, commentary along with the game audio sometimes feels a bit too out of sync, or to be more specifically, the game commentary where it comes to likely describing certain things, it's actually gone out of sync, which as a result, this is most likely because again, my laptop is somewhat feels a bit laggy recently, so yeah, it seems kind of stupid and stubborn at the same time, but regardless of such though, it sometimes usually happens in my case, so oh well, no big deal, but at the very least it's now sort of fixed by now. So anyways, let's go ahead and swim down, and just trying to be very careful not to get hit by those too many fishies, and also just trying to able to swim a bit slower might be the easiest way to able to noticing this, so that way we can able to actually just try to avoid a lot of those stuff. And also, kind of think about it, this will be the last time we're going to be able to try to grab the DK Hero coin without coin involved, so that might be something worth noting for. So yeah, we've got every single portions done for the sake of that level, and so far we're on 52% done, so nicely done for the sake of time. And so far we've got 45 B coins, and 24 DK Hero coins, and 3 watches, so yeah, pretty swell I have to say, and I've spent about 1 hour and 20 minutes so far, which is overall, not too shabby. So in this case though, let's go ahead and move on into Sheepy Shop again. So I think this will be the 4th time doing this. So yeah, we can pretty much expect that we were able to claim certain rewards, depending if we actually being very good at the forms of matching pairs kind of stuff. So but again, it's all randomized every time you're able to actually replay this particular game mode, as far as I'm usually concerned with that stuff. So ah, dang it, I think I messed that up. Alright, so looking good so far anyway though, despite I keep on messing things up at certain points, because obviously, although, kind of think about it, it does remind me of the forms of the Super Mario Bros. 3 Flip the Cards game, because obviously it's all randomized every time you go into this particular game as far as I'm concerned, so but at the very least we got the DK Hero coin, and somehow we got all the Squidder pairs and Dixie Kong, so there we go. So that pretty much takes care of the Sheepy Shop number 4, so that way we're able to get ourselves the, well, not only the DK Hero coin, but also another watch as well. So yeah, that basically summarizes it such. Alright, next up what we have is Carbine Chaos. And then fundamentally speaking, this is the machinery kind of level theme. So yeah, about time to able to actually now experience the actual machinery environment kind of level. So again, better late than never I suppose, especially notable because, well, relatively speaking, we've gone through so much of this game so far, especially notable because, like I said before, we're basically now onto the halfway point in terms of this particular game so far. So yeah, we can pretty much expect how this is going. So anyways, let's grab the extra life, despite the fact it might be seems kind of worthless though for me though, because obviously we've already maxed out on extra lives, so yeah, that basically summarizes it such, so. Alright, so let's just go ahead and create some of these platforms here, so just in case we can able to actually see what's up ahead or not. So either way though, because again, it actually requires a lot of exploration around here, so there's the first bonus area in this level, so yeah, that basically just summarizes as such. Oh yeah, I think there's another thing I would like to mention about the forms of another differences between the Game Boy Color version on this than the likes of the original Game Boy version of Donkey Kong Land 3. That, as far as I'm aware, that the Game Boy Color version of the game, well, only exists in Japan, mind you, like I said before. Usually, relatively speaking, the CPU actually runs a lot faster than the forms of how it does it in the original Game Boy, as far as I usually did found out. Because there's one of those examples called, Clifftop Clitters, that basically, though, there's gonna be a lot of lag involved, but every time you, like, lost a Kong and stuff like that, or essentially when a Kong's losing a life, and then basically, though, if they fall down for so long, basically, it actually creates a lag in the original Game Boy version, although, mind you, though, we haven't exactly got into that particular level just yet, though, so, yeah, I will talk more details about that and during at some point, and let's say next Saturday. So, and also another thing as well is the fact that Jitties, somehow in the actual title sequence, or if you leave the title running on the actual title screen in one of those levels in Jetty Jitters, basically the actual demo does not synchronize and then the Kongs cannot reach at the end of a level. This is because of the timing differences in between the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color version, which has the faster CPU. So yeah, that might be seems a little bit more obvious sense, and I somehow died right there, which is kind of a mistake, but that's okay though, because we've got the midway point, so that should be pretty generous. So anyway, and as far as I'm aware, in the original version of the game, actually I'll get into more details about that, and during at some point, also in next week as well, because, well, it seems totally obvious because of the forms of power fact, I just want to able to just, well, concentrate at this point, because, well, relatively speaking, there's not much else to say around here. I gotta say, I really love the music in this world though, especially noticeable it's almost like atmospheric and stuff. Well, mind you, it has been about, you know, a couple of hours since I actually, well, there's a coin enemy over there, so we need to figure this out. And that should do it. So, 26. So, nicely done. Oh yeah, recently I somehow managed to download quite a few Sonic fan-made games recently. So far I've actually downloaded Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble 16-bit remake, and I'm gonna say, I was very impressed about the performance of that particular game. Especially noticeable because, well, relatively speaking, it's almost like the sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, which I do appreciate with all that plot connections and stuff like that. I've been meaning to able to do a Let's Play of that at some point, but not now anyway though, because we're still working on this, along with, you know, Super Mario Galaxy and the Super Mario 3D All-Stars compilation, and the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy Color, so... Because, you know, 3 of those things are Nintendo themed, so yeah, we're not going to touch upon Sonic for quite a while. Until God knows if we're able to decide to do Sonic Origins at some point, but we'll just see what happens. Anyway, so that's that. So let's move on to the next level, which is Shimmering. I think that's what the level itself is called anyway, though. Then again, though, because I do apologize for that tongue twist in the end, folks, so I do apologize for that, so... And it looks like we're going back into the tree environment, so we can pretty much expect that we can able to climb onto more tree branches and stuff like that. So yeah, not much else to say about this for the sake of time. And also I just realized is the fact that this level does not contain any of those dangerous hazards, such as for instance with the actual ginormous sword to go through. So yeah, I think I can totally get the idea of why that the actual sword wasn't on there because of the Game Boy's limitations. So, but I digress. So yeah, whenever I managed to download, you know, Sonic Triple Trouble, the 16-bit remake, I had a lot of fun with it, and I think fundamentally speaking, one thing I do really appreciate with this is the fact that they borrowed the exactly the same element as the forms of how it does it in the regular Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles game. That because obviously the only difference is between the 8-bit counterparts on the Sega Game Gear than the likes of how it does it on the 16-bit remake on their fan-made game. Basically though, is the fact that these special stages can be found as in giant rings, as opposed to, you know, every time whenever you're gonna have to keep, you know, 50 rings count, and then basically you have to find the Chaos Emerald monitor item, and then that way you would able to actually access to the special stage during the course of in the Game Gear version. Whilst in the 16-bit remake though, basically though you have to find the giant rings on certain areas, and that basically reminds me of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles for quite a bit, including Sonic Mania as well. And as a result, in terms of the special stage itself, I actually do really like, especially noticeable because it's actually a little bit slightly different, because obviously the difference is between the forms of in, you know, the 8-bit version and the 16-bit version as a remake. Basically though, is the fact that it's all about erasing, that you have to erase Fang the Sniper or Nank the Weasel, for those of you lived in like any other regions you lived in. So yeah, it seems interesting that you're able to actually race against with somebody instead of like doing different multiple things at once. So in this case though, yeah, I somehow accidentally died right there by those. Nikki's right here, which is a bit of a mistake, but that's okay, because once again we've got the midway point, so there's nothing to worry about this. So, because in new forms of in the Game Gear version of that particular Sonic Triple Trouble, you do get stuff like different special stages, depending on, well, let's just say in the odd number emeralds and stuff like that, you have to do the actual challenge platform. And then you have to worry about the time limit as well, while trying to go for the hardest platforming segments from time to time. Whilst the forms have been in even emeralds, as far as I'm aware, you have to collect a certain amount of rings on those specific tornado segments, despite the fact that you have to do with the forms of the depth perception. So as a result of that kind of stuff, though, that I do appreciate about the fact that they only have to utilize the forms of well, only one type of special stages in mind, so yeah, I do appreciate about that. And also I just downloaded the Sonic the Hedgehog 1 Master System remake, which yeah, I enjoyed that, especially noticeable that you can able to actually have multiple things at once, and especially noticeable about the fact that, well, it's been like quite a long time now since I actually last known about the forms of in you know, certain Sonic ROM hacks and stuff like that, because, well, I've heard so many great things about it though, especially noticeable how creative it was, especially noticeable with certain things itself in mind. Well, mind you, I've only downloaded the 2D ones rather than the 3D ones for sure, but that's only mainly because I'm more accustomed to the forms of like the, well, I don't know what you call it per se, because, well, relatively speaking, I just somehow died again. That's only mainly because, once again, I get screwed over by the forms of that stupid, blends into the background kind of situation, where, you know what I mean, the colors just somehow blends in and stuff like that. So because of that, that's how usually most people seem to able to prefer the Game Boy Color version on the Japanese version of the game compared to the regular Game Boy version, because again, it's so hard to tell of where you try to able to avoid enemies and stuff like that because of the colors blend in and stuff like that, so it's a bit of annoying and inconsistent. So yeah, that might be summarized as such. So but it feels like we're almost there now. It's just the fact that we got to be very careful not to screw things up again, because, well, it's kind of annoying sometimes. Oh, that happened again. Oh jeez, okay. Now I just need to avoid those neckies right here from the sides of the actual tree. So hopefully I should able to actually make this as far as I can tell for this point. Oh jeez, this is gonna get a bit treacherous. Oh god! Seriously, that porcupine just sometimes just gets on my nerves. But anyway, let's just pass for this mice enemy, and there we go. Oh, good grief. This level can be kind of tough sometimes. But anyways, that does it for that. So let's move on to the next level, which is Rock Face Chase. And I think, fundamentally speaking, this takes place in the cliff. So, yeah, pretty much expecting what this is going on. So, oh yeah, there are some sad news I would like to tell you for this point, guys. Especially noticeable, if you're a huge fan of The Little Mermaid, well, unfortunately though, one of those actors passed away who actually played Ursula the Sea Witch. And because of that though, she was 95 years old, which I was like, oh gosh, I felt so sorry for that particular actor. Especially noticeable because she plays very, very well as the actual main villain of The Little Mermaid, which is, of course, Ursula the Sea Witch. So, yeah, that pretty much as far as I can usually try to describe it. So, yeah, it seems kind of sad, honestly. So, anyway, bonus area, so we can able to just bash as many of those enemies as we could, in addition to utilizing the steel barrels for certain, oh, did I just? Oh, wait a second. There might be more than that. Yeah, thought so. There's actually a last enemy over there. And, oh, wait a second. Oh, come on! Oh! Wow, that was close. Especially noticeable, if I don't make it in a nick of time, I have to do this all over again, so... Oh jeez, that is kind of scary, kind of think about it. If you somehow manage able to lose footing of yourself, then basically though is the fact that next to your nose you might as well get screwed over if you don't pay attention to it at all. Although, mind you, it has been about, you know, like I said, a couple of hours since I actually last recorded this kind of stuff. Especially noticeable because I think that one thing I should probably also mention right from the get-go though, that during that time, right at the very beginning of today, my Wi-Fi just somehow goes all like weird all of a sudden. Like, it did somehow activate, but for some reason it just never seemed able to just, well, get the full internet access. But then I found out about the fact that for some reason, Silver just accidentally managed to use the psychokinesis powers, and then he somehow accidentally connected the second internet cable onto the actual router, and that actually causes the actual Wi-Fi router to able to get glitched up. So as a result though, the only way you can able to get internet for is the fact that you have to only insert only one of those specific cables, and not two, because if you insert two of those things at the same router, it'll cause the Wi-Fi to get freaked out. So as a result though, I blame Silver for that. Well, thankfully we somehow managed to forgive each other in the end of at the end of the day. That's only mainly because, well, his brain has gone a bit wishy-washy today, because as far as I'm aware, that he's pretty much still desperate for able to actually hopefully trying to get some more game infos to be coming up, especially noticeable that we almost nearly at the end of, you know, 2022, and then we almost at the forms of the new year, which is 2023. So we can pretty much expect of how the fact that God knows until when something's about to be roll around. Well, depending on time or anything else like that. So it's so hard to tell at this rate. So alright, so we once again collecting stars at this point, especially noticeable that we still need to climb onto ropes and all that stuff. So and that way we're able to get ourselves our 51st B coin. So nicely done for the sake of time. So now we just need to like, well, just make our way to the very end of the level. Although, before we get into that though, there is actually that one specific thing we need to able to keep an eye on for. That is of course the steel barrel as always, so I think, yep, there it is right here. And that way we'll see the coin enemy, so we'll just do this technique. And there we go, 28 of those DK Hero coins that we've got so far, so nicely done. And watch out for that enemy over there, because if you dare touch him, then you have to go all the way back to where the midway point was. So, yeah, something you need to be very careful of. So, anyway, so let's move on to the last level on this world, which is Crazy Chaos. So, yeah, basically, remember that Chaos Robot as we saw from the likes of in Donkey Kong Country 3? Well, there he is on the actual 8-bit Glory for the Game Boy Glory, I suppose. And I think, fundamentally speaking, he's actually kind of small in comparison to the forms of how it does it on the Super Nintendo counterparts, which I have no idea why he somehow goes to small form in this version. Well, mind you, because again, it's because of the Game Boy's limitations. So, anyway, so the entire boss fight, I think it plays out kind of similar to the forms of how it does it on the Super Nintendo equivalent, except the fact that he no longer get any dialogue or anything else like that, unlike the Super Nintendo version. So, yeah, I've no idea why they're going for this particular change to begin with, but at least he's pretty easy. The only time it's a little bit difficult is the fact that sometimes you have to watch out for his, you know, the actual movements like that. So of course you still need to be able to utilize that particular platform in order to be able to actually just reach up here, and then it's your chance to be able to jump on him for quite a few times. And I believe those boxing gloves doesn't hurt you, they just knock you. So because of that though, thankfully those boxing gloves does not harm you at all. So anyway, so let's have to jump on him, and I think he's not done yet, so I think he's only got one last hit point left, so... And that might actually do it from the sake of time? Or was it? Oh wow, that was pathetically easy. Jeez, only 3 hits on him? Seriously. So, with that being said folks, I think we should probably end things off at this point right here, so join me next weekend for more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong Land 3. That will basically we'll move on to the 5th world in the game, known as Tin Can Valley. Kind of an interesting world name, I say. Especially noticeable because we're almost nearly at the end of the game. So I'll see you guys until next Saturday. Later, fellas.